Ever thought about visiting Copenhagen? Whether it's been on your travel bucket list for a while or you never even considered it, this video is for you. Copenhagen might not always be the first city you think about when visiting Europe, but it's a destination that deserves your attention. With its stunning architecture, cozy vibes, and a lifestyle that's both laid back and effortlessly cool, Copenhagen has something for everyone. Stick around and I'll share everything you need to go for your next trip. And if you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you're always notified whenever I upload a new video. Now, let's get into it. Let's start with getting around. Copenhagen's public transportation system is very efficient with a network of metro systems and buses that can get you anywhere you want to go. In fact, I landed in Copenhagen at 1 in the morning and I used the bus system to get to my apartment, and it was flawless. I felt completely safe. In fact, somebody offered me a beer on my bus. He was like, "Welcome to Copenhagen, here's a free beer." It was a fun time. And yeah, so I highly recommend the public transportation system when traveling in Copenhagen. You can easily purchase tickets via the DOT app or at any of the booths at the terminals. And if you're planning to visit multiple attractions throughout the city, I highly recommend getting the Copenhagen card. It gives you unlimited access to public transport as well as all of the attractions. Now, I did not buy the Copenhagen card when I was there because I stayed for an entire month, but if you're there for a short trip, it's definitely useful. If you really want to experience Copenhagen like a local, biking is the way to go. Make sure to download popular bike sharing apps like Bicycling or Donkey Republic ahead of time. And if you want to know more about my trip to Copenhagen, I went during the winter of 2023. Make sure to click this up here so you can go watch that video. Also, a pro tip that I wish somebody would have told me: if you go to Copenhagen during the winter, you might think, "Oh, I'm in Northern Europe, I should see the Northern Lights." No, you will not see the Northern Lights from Copenhagen. You have to go more further north, like in Iceland and Norway, but not in Copenhagen. So don't be like me and going to Copenhagen thinking that you'll be seeing the Northern Lights. There's way too much light pollution and it's not north enough. However, it is easier to get there from Copenhagen. Next up, let's talk about money. Denmark uses the Danish krone, not the euro. So keep that in mind when you're traveling over there. However, I was able to get around without using much cash because they really rely on contactless payment in Copenhagen. While cash is handy, debit and credit cards are widely used around the city. And when using contactless payments, make sure to check with your bank so you don't get those pesky foreign transaction fees. I always recommend people to use Charles Schwab Bank or Ally Bank to help save on ATM fees when traveling abroad. Now let's dive into some of the sites that you must see when in Copenhagen. First, you can't miss Nyhavn. It's the beautiful, colorful row of houses that you've probably seen on social media. It is the perfect spot for photos. Tivoli Gardens is also a must if you're going during the winter time. However, keep in mind that it is a seasonal activity, so it's not open all year round. And of course, you have to visit the Little Mermaid. It's really small, but if you want to say you went, go ahead and head over there. I skipped it because, I mean, hey, I skipped it. For a unique experience and a view like none other, make sure to climb to the top of Church of Our Savior. Let me give you a fair warning though, when you're climbing up to the top, it is very cramped and hot in there, so definitely save that for your workout for the day. I was there during the winter and I definitely worked up a sweat, but it was 100% worth it because that view was phenomenal. Or if you're looking for some architecture like none other, head over to 𝐷𝐸𝐻𝑣𝐻 Church. It's something that I definitely know you've never seen before. Did you know that Copenhagen's polar plunge tradition started all the way in the Viking era? The idea was that a dip in the icy waters would help rejuvenate your health and invigorate the soul, a belief that's still embraced by locals today. At any time of the year, you'll see people jumping into the river in Copenhagen. If you're not that adventurous, there are other ways that you can be a part of this tradition in a more modern sense. I recommend visiting Copenhagen, which offers an incredible experience where you can be in a jacuzzi right by the water. Also, they have barrel saunas for you to enjoy. Over at 𝐟𝐨𝐫𝐵, which is an international chain, is very special in Copenhagen, however, because it is a reformed 19th century beer warehouse, which has now been turned into a luxurious bathhouse. You can soak in thermal baths that honor the ancient Roman and Greek traditions. And don't miss Manonly Suites. It's a hotel that also has a heated pool, which is great for you to experience Bali in Europe. However, when you go, make sure that you bring a change of clothes and change beforehand because they do not have changing rooms. And while it is a hotel, the rooms are a bit cramped, so I wouldn't really recommend it for your stay unless you're going by yourself. And another thing, I'd recommend skipping the Christianshavn area. Let me tell you why. It's known for its alternative scene. It is like a area in Copenhagen that is not ran by police. It's like a free town. It's considered its own little area. Some people like to go there to see what's going on for some nefarious activities, if you know what I'm saying. And honestly, from the research that I did, it's not popping. Like it's not somewhere that you need to visit, okay? And as of late, it has been raided many times by the police. So if you don't want to be caught up in that, just skip it, girl. There's so many things to do in Copenhagen that you won't even miss it. The best time to visit Copenhagen is between May and September when the weather is mild and there are plenty of outdoor events. But if you're into the holiday vibes, December is also a great time to visit because they have a lot of Christmas decorations as well as markets for you to enjoy. However, if you happen to get a good flight deal or your schedule allows you to be in Copenhagen outside of those times, don't think that there's not a lot of things to do. If you want ideas on things to do in the winter in Copenhagen, make sure to check out my website at 𝐿adyWhoTravels.com. I have blog posts to help you guys plan your travel itinerary, and I also have my video of when I stayed in Copenhagen for a month here on my channel. When it comes to where to stay in Copenhagen, there are many options for the budget travelers to the luxury travelers, but keep in mind that Copenhagen is an expensive city, so you will be spending a bit more than other cities in Europe. For those who like nightlife, Vesterbro is a good area to be in. For those who like to try different foods, Nørrebro is very diverse with a mix of cultures and some of the best food in the city. And for a quieter, more residential vibe, Østerbro is ideal, especially for families. They have Airbnbs, of course, and luxury hotels. However, if you are going for a long-term stay, maybe you're going for work or want to stay for a few months, I highly recommend using Blue Ground Homes. That's where I stayed in last year and I loved it. Now, let's talk about the cultural etiquette. One, Danish people like to smoke in all types of weather, so don't be surprised if you see people smoking outside in like freezing cold. They don't care, okay? They are going to get their smoke on. Second, they're also a bit more reserved and quieter than other European countries that I've noticed, so you won't have a lot of people coming up to you saying hi. You might feel like they're not friendly, but it's just the way they do things up there. It is not rude, it's just how they do things. So just be mindful of that. And you'll notice in public transportation, it is very quiet, so loud conversations is a no-no. And while we're on the topic of culture, let's not forget about the food. One thing Denmark is known for is the term hygge, which is known for cozy, warm vibes, and that applies to all facets of Danish culture, including the food. I highly recommend joining a baking class so that you can learn how to make a Danish and have a great souvenir for going home. And just to keep in mind, tipping is not mandatory here, but it's appreciated if you get some good service. I also recommend trying Danishes as a way to try new foods without breaking the bank, because when I went out to eat in Copenhagen solo, it was about $40 per person, and for to-go food it was around $25 per person, just so you can have some gauge of what prices are over there. So I like to visit bakeries as a way for me to still feel like I'm being a part of the culture without spending a lot of money. One of my favorite bakeries was Buka. I think I went over 7-8 times because I loved it so much. But for more recommendations on bakeries to try when visiting Copenhagen, check the description box below. Also, if you want to try Danishes for a very low price, download the Too Good To Go app. It is an app where bakeries will sell leftover items at the end of the day for a very discounted price. I used that a few times there, and it's a great way to try a lot of things for a very low price. And speaking of food, you definitely have to try smørrebrød, which is like an open-faced sandwich, and Danish hot dogs, which they're known for. And before you go, don't forget to check the description box for all details on what to do, where to stay, and things that I haven't mentioned in this video. I've included links and other resources to help you plan your trip. And if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you always get notified when I have new travel guides that are uploaded. And as always, my name is Abigail, and you're watching The Lady Who Travels. Bye!